A broad look at organizational tech priorities in the coming 12 months shows cybersecurity on top yet again as the most common area of emphasis, followed by analytics and data warehousing and cloud migration. These priorities have remained high and steady for several surveys now, with minimal movement, though cybersecurity has dropped a bit more as a priority than analytics and cloud migration in the past two surveys. The real headline here, though, is that machine learning and artificial intelligence has jumped as a tech priority for organizations this survey, no doubt a result of recent widespread excitement around use cases for generative AI. With this jump, ML and AI has overtaken collaboration and productivity and networking as a priority. The Macro View survey exists precisely to dive into these wider trends like this as they emerge. So, given this clear surge of interest in ML and AI, let's dig into this topic more in our next few slides. So now a closer look at ML and AI. We asked our IT decision maker community which areas within ML and AI they were planning to prioritize in the next year. Many organizations are still in a definition phase for these new technologies, with scoping relevant business use cases coming in as the top priority. Data preparation and organization was tied as a second highest priority, which makes sense given that advanced analytics applications are the most effective when the data is organized, transformed, and high quality that drives the models. Chatbots, conversational AI, generative AI, and large language models were tied as a second highest priority as well. This is the cluster of technologies grabbing a lot of attention in the news these days, since OpenAI made ChatGPT widely available at the end of last year. ML model deployment and training is the fourth highest priority for ML and AI. And checking for bias, model drift, and concerns about ethics in AI are the lowest priority for organizations from these choices. This rank order of priorities maps well onto a maturity lifecycle for advanced analytics, however. Organizations venturing into ML and AI start with business use cases, then they move to get their data house in order, then they develop and train models, they deploy them, and they concern themselves with monitoring, governance, and bias as part of a later stage of the larger ML ops lifecycle. When we asked respondents last April for which use cases they were evaluating generative AI and large language models for, more than half at the time simply said they weren't evaluating generative AI at all. But this time around, it's clear more organizations are turning serious attention to this technology, with now about a third saying they are not evaluating generative AI. The other two-thirds of respondents are looking to use cases for customer support, text and data summarization, and code generation and documentation as the top priorities. Image editing and design was the least frequently cited use case for generative AI. Still, all of these business use cases saw growth over the last quarter, indicating generative AI is starting to be embraced seriously at enterprise scale. Now, the previous slide probed how organizations were evaluating generative AI, but this slide asked more directly which use cases have made it all the way into full production in the enterprise. Less than half of those who indicated they were evaluating generative AI for various use cases say they have them in production yet, and that was consistent across all of the use cases listed here. But among the areas where generative AI has made it into production, the top use cases are in customer support, then code generation and documentation, and text and data summarization, followed by writing content, marketing, or sale copy. Let's round out this tour of the generative AI and large language model space by looking at the vendors at the forefront of this technology. We asked the ETR community to what extent they anticipated using the generative AI models directly from the companies developing them, such as OpenAI, versus using the generative AI capabilities embedded in other vendors' offerings, such as Salesforce's Einstein GPT. More than a quarter of organizations said they weren't sure yet, but of those who had insight into this topic, it was a fairly even split between getting models directly from the developing companies versus using the capabilities embedded in other vendor products. Few anticipated going entirely in one direction, and 11% said they didn't plan to use generative AI in any capacity.